Remember, guys, I'm fair, but I'm firm. Touch him up. Good luck.
Who the fuck is
Larry Flowers?
I'm gonna trade this life for fortune and fame. I even cut my hair and change my name. Cause we all just wanna be big rock stars and live in hilltops.
Good morning, Vancouver, Canada. I am Larry Flowers. What's up, fellas? Colin, what's happening? Big weekend for me. We got a lot to talk about. Welcome to the Fair Firm podcast with myself, like I said, Larry Flowers and Colin Thompson. What's up, fella?
Larry, listen, I'm not going to slow us down too much with my BS. I do have one comment to make. It's like Fogo de Chao, right? When you go there and you have the card ready to go, right? Flipped over, green, red, green, red, green,
Mine
red.
stays on green 24/7 when I'm there. No excuses. But go ahead.
No excuses, right? And you shoo them away. Say, hey, listen, it's not a fit, not right now, not right now.
Bring me those lamb chops.
That's exactly what you say if you're a veteran. You say, when the lamb chops are ready to go, sir, I'll take them and keep them coming. Could be one of my favorite lamb chops of all time, but that's
I
here nor there.
completely agree.
They're elite.
Yes.
Okay, we need that at a barbershop. I went to get my haircut today. Really nice kid cut my hair, and he did a nice job. But I'm tired. I got a lot going on right now in my life. All good. I just wanted to relax in there. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to sit in a chair and relax.
Well, did you go to a hairdresser or did you go to a barbershop?
Barbershop. And I'm cool with
that's your mistake. That's your first mistake.
No, you always go to a barbershop if you're a real man. Only a man can cut your hair.
Yeah, but if you go to a barbershop, you have to anticipate that they're going to start conversations. That's a part of the barbershop. That's why there's a movie called Barbershop. The barbershop is a place where you go, you stare at yourself in the mirror, the guy in front of you stares at you back in the mirror, and he shoots the shit with you.
Fair. No, you're right. I mean, listen, you're 100% right on a Friday afternoon, but it is Tuesday. I am in there. There's not a soul in there. There's one guy cutting hair, and I just wanted to just chill, and he starts peeling on me. What do you do? What do you do? Kept killing me. I divert media. And then eventually the NFL stuff came up, and then it's off the rails. I'm a Giants fan. Saquon, who'd you play with? So everything's excellent. I had a good morning. I have first world problems here I'm complaining about today, but grinding, man. Grinding.
You know what's funny is Richie Million, one of my best buddies from Northeast Philly, lives in LA as long as I have. He's been here like 23 years. He's kind of a jack of all trades, unbelievable chef. Also cuts hair for everybody. He cuts my hair. He's been cutting my hair for years and years and years. And he cuts my hair in his house. Like he's not like a licensed barber, but like people go over to his house, he sits him down, but he's got the whole kit and caboodle. He cuts your hair proper. I mean, legit. Not to mention he's one of the best private chefs I've ever known. But when he cuts my hair, he obviously he's like my brother, where he's one of my best friends. And when he cuts my hair, he's constantly talking to me about things. Richie's a talker, and he talks to me about this, that, and the other. And he'll get in such deep conversation during my haircut that he'll like stop cutting my hair, and they'll like be 3-4 minutes ago. But like, since he's like my brother, like while he's talking,
that's what this guy was doing. I'm like, dude,
every time he's doing the haircut, I'm always like, shut the fuck up. Just cut my fucking hair. Don't fuck it up. He's up there. He's that's
what this guy was doing, man. That was this guy. It's classic stuff. But enough about that. Everything's excellent. What a world, and what a time of year in sports. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs. We talk about that. We got some boxing. We got a couple things to talk about. But first and foremost, Larry, I could just see in your eyes, pal. I just know what those eyes look like. I've seen them on myself before. Mine are for work right now, not for play, but that play's coming. Larry, how was the week, buddy? How was the weekend in Vancouver?
I have you had a great weekend eyes. Yeah. You know what? Last second. So Friday, first of all, Scotty Upshaw, Shane O'Brien, missing curfew, were up in Vancouver for games 1 and 2 up there. And game 2 was on Saturday night. And I have another buddy up there, Sefton Fincham, and he's all over me. Come up. I'll get us tickets. It'll be a great time. The city's rocking. And so Friday morning comes around, and I'm like, in the office, and I'm thinking, do I want to really fly up to Vancouver? It's not that far from LA. It's like 2.5-hour flight.
Okay.
But I thought about it long and hard, and it wasn't until Friday night where I made the decision to grab a 6 a.m. flight on Saturday morning and buzz up to Vancouver to dip my toes in one of, if not my favorite Canadian city of all. I've been to Vancouver many times. It's an absolutely gorgeous city. The people are so friendly. I always have a good time when I go up there. People just, for some reason, they kind of, I guess, know who I am a little bit up there. Not to say that I'm a celebrity or anything, but I know. Listen, so I take the 6 a.m. bird. I get up at 3:30 in the morning, which is not my cup of tea. And I get on this flight. I get up there. I check into the hotel.
Now, are you coffee on that flight or are you taking a nap?
Yeah, no, I'm a napper.
Okay, good.
I'm a napper. Yeah.
Smart man.
I get on, I put on my mask just to make sure, I got a tomato juice. I put my mask on. I have my AirPods on the noise reduction thing.
Sleep apnea mask.
You know what? Sometimes I bring my mask everywhere. I don't usually wear it, but they really work. For anyone that has trouble sleeping, if you've never tried a mask, they really work. For the eyes.
For the eyes.
Oh,
I thought you were going to sleep apnea mask. I'm like, whoa, like that.
Oh, no. But anyway, I get up there. I get checked in the hotel. I lay down for about an hour, and then I go and meet our buddy Roger, who's an absolute beauty. He owns a company called Kits Eyewear. Him, Scotty Upshaw, Shane O'Brien, Missing Curfew, they're doing an event at one of the Kits locations. And so I go there, and it's a million people there. It's like a cafe / like place where you buy eyewear. They're really inexpensive but beautiful, really good quality glasses. Kits Eyewear. They're like $28 for each pair of glasses. But obviously, then if you want to get like prescriptions, you got to pay for that, but whatever. But anyway, I go there. It's a great event. Met up with a bunch of people, and then we end up getting a nice lunch. And then the day just goes by. It's right on the water there in Vancouver. I mean, I can't explain to you how beautiful. Have you been to Vancouver?
No, I hear great things.
Listen,
I've never been to Canada, period.
Yeah, wow. Vancouver it's just absolutely beautiful. The skyline, the mountains with the snow caps, with all of the rivers and the oceans, and it's just a really, really pretty place. People are just awesome there. They're really, really friendly. I've got a lot of friends up there, and so anyway, we were having a great day, and then we get dialed with basically red line 10th row, which is basically like the 50-yard line for those of you who don't know, but we're basically 50-yard line, dead center, 10th row, Edmonton Oilers, Vancouver Canucks, unbelievable energy. The barn was on fire. Unfortunately, Vancouver lost 4-3 in overtime. But it was incredible energy, and Vancouver was just awesome. But then I decided to stay. I stayed a couple extra days. I didn't leave until Sunday late at night, and just had myself an awesome day. That on Saturday. So Uppy leaves Saturday. O'Brien stays, but he has one of those. Like relaxing, taking care of himself type days, spa and all that stuff. So I buzz over to the bar by myself at like 12:30. I have some, I know some people there, and I got to be honest. I sit there, and one of the guys sitting at the bar recognizes me from the podcast, because I've been on Spittin' Chicklets and Missing Curfew, and they're diehard hockey fans up there. They all listen to the hockey podcast, and so one guy recognizes me and comes over and asks me, if I'm Larry Flowers, and I don't consider myself like a celeb or anything, but it was kind of cool, and I say, yes, how are you? What's up? And he's like, no way. And they're diehard hockey fans. So like he started making a spectacle of it. And then another guy saw, and then he knew another guy. And then before you know it, this whole bar was absolutely rocking. And people, like, they all knew who I was. And next thing you know, shots are just flying all over the place. I must have done 30 shots in a matter of 3 hours, and straight tequila. I'm not exaggerating.
That's the only way.
I can't remember the last time I've done that many shots.
We had a big night out in Philly that night. We had a couple.
Yeah, it was like that, but actually it was worse
More.
because there was more shots because just the whole bar was just buying shots left.
Plus, our boy Sean Handler wasn't
taking
there.
pictures and shit. It was actually really funny.
When
But
Sean Handler's not there, it's not as fun.
Yeah, no. Well, obviously, you need. I'm going to talk about Sean Handler and I. Actually, I want to talk about Sean Handler and I in a little bit. Remind me.
We're not going to talk sports today, everybody.
I want to talk about Brazil and the Philadelphia Eagles, but we'll get back to that.
Okay,
but I do want to say something.
Okay.
I was there were 3 guys that were talking to me at the bar that were from Vancouver. Shout out, very, very, very important here. Darren Darnley, absolute beauty. He was there with his 3 boys or with his 2 boys, and he recognized me right away. Big time fisherman. He catches those halibuts that are twice the size of you.
Okay.
And we got to talking, and he's just an absolute good guy. I was privileged to hang out with him for a few hours. They were pinned, and they were absolutely hilarious. But he said something to me that I took home with me, especially on Sunday, which was Mother's Day. I never met this guy before. He knew who I was from the podcast, and he said, I recently lost my mother, and I could just tell that he's like me, like a real mama's boy. We all love our moms, of course, but some of us are just a little bit softer than others when it comes to your mom. Yep. And I'm one of those guys, and he clearly was one of those guys as well. And he just opened up to me in a way about his mom, but the point is that he told me that listening to Missing Curfew and Spittin' Chicklets and some of my interviews during that time when he lost his mother was the one thing that kind of kept his mind off of, losing his mom and going through that horrible time in his life. And it helped him. And I'm getting a nice buzz while he's telling me this, but it kind of like sobered me up for a second. And I'm looking at him like, really? Like, does it really mean that? Like, really? And yeah, he was completely sincere, and it really touched me. And obviously the next day was Mother's Day. So obviously I shot him a really nice text, and we've been going back and forth a little bit. And he's invited me to come out to Vancouver next time I come out, to go out to Vancouver Island and go fishing for some salmon and some halibut. So I'm going to take him up on that. But yeah,
absolutely.
But they were just, again, shout out to you boys. I appreciate all the support. They were a pleasure to hang out with. I mean, we were hanging for hours, and they were absolutely pinned. One of them spilled a full beer all over my lap, like right in the middle of my junk, like, I mean, dead center. But it was
all the best times though. Like, you had no plans. The boys were kind of doing their thing. Uppy leaves. Obi's doing his thing. You're like, okay, I'm gonna text somebody. Maybe we'll meet out. You show up by yourself. All of a sudden, you're ripping.
Yeah, like I'm not a huge. I love doing it, but I'm not a huge solo mission guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I like to be with my boys. I'm that guy, but I decided to go to this place. It's a great little sports bar, and they got a great burger, and so I just went by myself. I sat there, and it turned out to be an unbelievable day. And then that day continued to progress into the evening, and I met up with Sefton and his girl's birthday. So we had a big birthday dinner, and then we went out and had a great night, and it was just awesome. Unbelievable time in Vancouver. And then Sunday we spent at Sefton's house, watching sports all day, home cooked sandwiches and food, and just drinking beers. It was an unbelievable trip. And I plan on going back to Vancouver sooner than later, because it's just, every time I go to Vancouver, it's just always a great time. And Sean Handler told me, Sean, you're on notice. You told me if the Vancouver Canucks go to the finals, we're planning a trip. You're coming to Vancouver. He's taken a liking to the Vancouver Canucks. The crowd in Vancouver is unbelievable. Now, for those of you that don't understand the NHL, especially in Canada, I want you to think about this. Eagles fans, right? Or Phillies fans, because a lot of Philly listeners to of the pod. Who do you hate the most, right? What's the rivalry? It's New York Giants or Dallas Cowboys or the New York Mets, right? I want you to think about that. Well, in Vancouver, it's the Edmonton Oilers. And the Edmonton Oilers have arguably the two best players in the world, right? So anyway, playoff game in Vancouver against your arch rival. The crowd was unbelievable. And it was an experience I'll never forget. It's a shame that they lost. I mean, they played really, really well. But that's an exciting series. And game 4 tonight in Edmonton, Vancouver up 2-1. I'm on the Vancouver bandwagon. Let's go Canucks. We're all Canadian. Let's go.
You know what? For coming in limping, you got some great juice today, which is fantastic to hear. Talk about Obi on the Jumbotron. You got Rick Tocchet, JT Miller, two studs in their own right, too.
So I guess obviously Shane O'Brien played for the Vancouver Canucks. He's quite the character in that area. There's some great stories about him, including this is as good as it gets. For those of you that don't know, but Shane O'Brien, when he played for the Vancouver Canucks, there was a incident where he slept in. You know, Shane likes to have a good time, and he's very well known to frequent a place called the Roxy, which is an awesome time, live music and just full on just good time bar. Huge spot too. But Shane O'Brien was always known as someone that liked to have a good time in Vancouver when he played there. And so anyway, the story goes that that he missed practice or morning skate. He was late. His alarm never went off. But I think everyone kind of figured out really what happened. Long story short, he ends up getting suspended for 2 weeks. It was the biggest story in Canada, especially in Vancouver. They started a thing on sports radio in Vancouver, like, where did you see Obi? Or I forget what it was called, but it was something like callers call in and say, like, where did you see Obi? Like, what bar did you see him at? And then guys were calling left and right, like, oh, well, I saw him at this place at this time. And it became like a whole thing. So anyway, he's got a big name up there, and he's still loved and beloved by the fans in Vancouver. And so, we're during the game, all of a sudden, I think it was the second period, the guy, what do you call it? They put O'Brien, Uppy, and myself, all of us. They put Obi on the Jumbotron, and they gave him an unbelievable little intro. Something along the lines of, ladies and gentlemen, X amount of penalty minutes. If you stood in front of the net, you were going to pay for it. A Roxy legend, Vancouver, former Vancouver Canucks, Shane O'Brien, and the place went absolutely nuts. And it was just so cool.
Obi had to be just such a good for you. Deserve it, man.
Yeah, he does.
Isn't that cool?
It was so great. And you know what? O'Brien loves that city. Him and I have talked about Vancouver and the Canucks and his time there for years and years. Him and I have gone up there together to vacation up there and to have a little bit of fun. And again, it's that town has never disappointed. And it was a special weekend, and it was a lot of fun.
Talk about the team. The head coach, former Philadelphia Flyer, Rick Tocchet, pretty impressive year.
Rick Tockett's the man. Yeah. I like Rick. Clearly, he's the kind of coach that you want to play for. Mm-hmm. And he's got that team. He's got that team buzzing. Listen, they're on. I don't know if on paper they're as good as Edmonton. I mean, Edmonton's got the top 2 lines on Edmonton are really dynamic. They're obviously as good as it gets. Vancouver's a little bit more of a balanced type team, but I didn't think Vancouver was going to be able to skate with this team with Edmonton. I thought Edmonton would have a relatively easy path through Vancouver, but I'm clearly wrong. And Skinner's not great in Edmonton, and Vancouver's got JT Miller, who I think is my favorite Vancouver Canucks player. He just plays the right way. He kind of reminds me like a Ryan O'Reilly, but like maybe a little bit tougher. He just plays the right way. I think he's from like East Palestine, Ohio. So he plays like that, like blue collar, really tough hockey. but he makes all the right plays. He's gritty. I really like his game. But now I'm thinking, listen, if Vancouver, what I noticed in game 3, in the game that we were at, was that Vancouver's playing really tight, right? You can't play tight against Draisaitl and McDavid. Like you have to kind of you have to loosen up your zone a little bit and get after him. You can't give him too much room on the outside to kind of just dance and do whatever you want and skate around. And so I think they've kind of figured that out. And as long as they continue to just get shots and play physical hockey, I mean, they're just good. And Rick Tocchet hockey, as everybody knows, is as tough as it gets. He was tough as nails. And I think he gets the most out of his players. And I think Vancouver's for real. I think they can go on a run again. They have no like big superstars, but they're really well balanced. And in the NHL, it's how hard you play. Now, it's 4 lines, especially in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. But they're a hell of a team, and they're very well coached.
Yes, they are. Rick Tocchet. People are arguing, right? Do you try to get him to Philly? I was trying to get him to Philly last year. It's interesting, like this Torch era, right? Like, I think Torch is the guy. I do like Torch. I think he's perfect for this type of team. I think they need to get there. He's going to get the most out of this team, or someone probably wouldn't. Tocchet's probably better off with a lot of coaches coming into with a little bit more talent, but Torch will get the most out of lesser talent. I firmly believe that, and he's going to push some buttons and rub people wrong. But my fear is, are you going to lose on a Flyer legend, 2 in particular, in Rick Tocchet and then Rod Brind'Amour, because they may be moving on from both their places. Rick obviously was let go, and he was out of the game for a little bit, did some stuff at TNT, and now he's had a major impact with the Canucks. Rod Brind'Amour, right? Like, is he going to resign?
I wouldn't get too ahead of this story with Rod Brind'Amour. Let's see what Carolina does. That win last night was massive. They are not dead. All
those games, that puck could have bounced anyway, all those games. And then the Rangers know that too.
Yeah, no, totally. But listen,
I'm not saying they're dead, but I'm saying, like, okay, even if Rod, they do okay and they lose in 7, he's not getting fired, but I think his contract's up.
His contract's up. I guess from what I understand, I guess there were some talks about re-upping and it stalled out. So, listen, I don't put too much emphasis on that. They're in the middle of a playoff run. And so I think their attention has to be on the games and not on Rod. And I think that's what a great head coach wants to do. He doesn't want to put the attention on himself. He's got a job to do right now. And so he's going to do it to the best of his ability and not be the focal point of things that have no impact on the playoffs right now and his players. So I think he's doing the right thing.
Okay. We have tonight, Panthers, Bruins.
Yes.
Both teams, Panthers are up 3-1 in the series. You got Canucks, Oilers tonight, 9:30. That's Tuesday night. Wednesday, Avs, Stars. Thursday, your Rangers, Hurricanes. So they're going to have a couple nights off. It goes back to Carolina. And then, again, the Canucks play the O's again. So,
yes, Boston's done. I truly believe that. I think they're a good team. Florida is just that good. We
talked about their depth, right? They have 4 lines.
Exactly. Florida's a wagon. They are on a mission. I don't see a weakness in Florida. I honestly think that series ends tonight. Sorry, Matty. Oh, yeah. I know you listen to the pod. He's one of my boys from Rhode Island. He's a big-time New England sports fan and talks a lot of shit. Him and I go back and forth, long time friends. But I think your run ends tonight, and I know he's going to come back with some smart-ass remarks on my text message, on our text thread about how many Super Bowls the New England Patriots have won and how many Bruins have won and how many, and go on down the line. And he's always got a point. But that's
he's dead on. They're way better than Philly. I mean, Boston, if anything, is better than any city in the world right now. When it comes
you have to say Boston overall. I guess you probably. I would get, if I had to bet money, that Boston probably has the most championships overall in the 4 major sports than any other city.
Yeah, like
great.
Dallas wouldn't.
It wouldn't be Dallas. It'd be either LA or Boston, right? Or New York.
That'd have to be LA or
New
Boston.
York, right? Or New York. But Boston's they're just always good.
Dude, think about what New England did. Think about what the Bruins have done. Bruins maybe underachieved in the last 2 decades with the players they had.
Yeah.
They only got 1 cup, right? 1 cup?
Yeah, but I always go back to, like New England, like the Boston teams. They have to pull from like 5 or 6 states just to be relevant so that they can compete with
That's
with the
funny.
major cities.
You would say that the work that Jim Montgomery's done, I think, is actually pretty impressive. What they've done the last 2 years with aging lineups. Obviously, they have 2 great goalies, but like you've lost a lot of players in the last 3-4 years, and I think he's done a great job from just a 10,000-foot level for a guy that didn't play the game. But I listened to a ton of Missing Curfew, a ton of Spitting Chicklets, and I watch a lot. Like they've lost a lot of people, right? Like a lot of people have moved on from that team. Bergeron, Krejci, right? Chara aged out, right? It's a lot of core pieces. Obviously, they paid Pasta and they have McAvoy and they have these great players, but they don't have the depth like these teams have. They don't. You see it against Florida, got exposed. They're not deep like Carolina. I think Carolina's pretty deep. Right?
But it goes to tell you what hockey's really all about. Like, it's not always the biggest names win the cup. It's
They win the regular season for you.
Exactly. Yeah, well, totally. But like that, that nobody remembers that.
No.
Right. Hockey's a game of 4 lines. Like it's a man's game. And for the casual hockey fan, you really got to understand that. It's a man's game, and it's a game where you need to plug guys in that you may never hear about, but that make all the right plays, that play a tough brand of hockey, that break you down in the playoffs, that can forecheck like crazy. All the little plays along the end boards, not turning the puck over. The little things can make you a really good team without having, a 100-point player. Now, obviously, the 100-point players, you'd love to have them, right? But Edmonton's perfect proof. I mean, they've got 2 of the best players. I mean, they're 2 future Hall of Famers, and they can't get over the hump. So
the Rangers are the model, right?
The Rangers are the model. I think the Rangers,
they're the model. When it comes to high-end talent mixed with depth, physicality, and goaltending, that's the model.
They are the model. There are several models. There's different types of models, but yes, as far as having the type of team where you don't have like a Cale Makar or Nathan McKinnon, New York Rangers would be the model. I'm on record saying they're built really well. They're heavy. They play a great game. They got a great goalie.
Great backup.
But going back to the Rangers, that series is far from over. Carolina has underachieved in the series, and they're starting to heat up. And you give that team just a little bit of a window, they could make a run not only in the series, but in the playoffs, and they can go all the way to the finals. And this is a Stanley Cup caliber. It's Stanley Cup or bust in Carolina. So that series is now officially heated up, 3-2, going back to Carolina. I can't wait to see it.
All right, Larry, let's pivot now. This McDavid cross check. Talk about it.
Yeah.
I love the physicality in the playoffs right now, man. Oh my God. These scraps.
The
Kachuk pasta scrap. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Kachuk's one of my favorite players in the NHL. He is.
The Flyers should trade for his brother. They should trade for him. Blockbuster trade.
Great call. He's got to get out of there too. That's a great call. They're both exactly what you want the hockey players to build a franchise around.
He changed Florida the minute he showed up.
Yeah.
You need those type of guys. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you need dudes. Like, look at Vegas with Eichel. Like, they changed Vegas. I don't care what anybody says about Vegas. They're loaded, but they're not the same team without him.
Now, the Flyers need a splash. There's no question about it. And they need a splash with a guy that fits the city, that fits the style that the organization
dominate
wants to portray.
You kidding me?
Just a gritty, good, strong player. You're absolutely right. I'd love to see Brady Tkachuk in Philly. That would be incredible. The McDavid cross check. You never want to see a guy get cross check in the face or in the neck, right? Never. I think that. Well, first of all, don't go two-handing a guy in his own zone behind his own net as the whistle's blowing and think that nothing's going to happen to you in the playoffs. No one gives a fuck who you are. No one gives a fuck how much of a superstar you are. If you're gonna two-hand someone, even if it's light and you want to fuck around, you're gonna find out. And that's exactly what happened. McDavid throws a little two-hander, and then all of a sudden gets a little cross check in the back. But I think he's like kind of going down. and then he gets cross-checked right in the right. I think it was supposed to kind of hit him in the chest, but it hits him right in his throat or in his face. And that I'm sure that didn't feel too good. And they just suspended Susi for what I think 1 game, right? I don't know. I don't know if I love the suspension.
How about our boy getting suspended in Colorado again?
Oh man.
Oh boy. I wish him not. He's got to get some help.
He's got to get some help. That's 2 years in a row. Nichushkin, right?
Yeah, good player.
2 years in a row in the playoffs. Substance abuse, I guess, or I don't know what they're calling it, but
the NHL does a great job with. They don't give you any info. They don't.
No, that's the whole point of the program.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying in general, the entire league, like the NFL, man. When you have an injury,
yeah, you're right.
They tell you exactly what it is. It's
but you know why? I mean, it's because the NFL is like the gambling in the NFL is on it's a business. It's a gambling on the NHL is a business too, but gambling in the NFL that's an economy. So everyone needs to know exactly who's in and for who's out and for what reasons. That's why they do it. You know, it goes back to the old what's the football movie with Bruce Willis. Fuck. Come on, help me out here.
I don't know.
I'm a movie guy. Come on,
Jack.
Flowers. No.
Come on, Jack. Bruce Willis NFL movie.
Oh,
I don't know.
I can't believe it. This is just because I'm hungover. But the Last Boy Scout, the Last Boy Scout, duh. And then you have the scene when like, you know, Marlon Wayans is he's yelling. He used to be a superstar quarterback, and he's addicted to drugs, and he's motherfucking the league. And he says, it's all because of gambling. It's all the injury reports all based because of gambling, and it ruined my life and whatever. Anyway, but that's why the NFL discloses every single injury.
To me, it's the same argument for both sports. You still gamble on both. Like if you gamble a little bit or gamble a lot. I love the fact that they say it's lower body or upper body.
Yeah.
I love that personally.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. No, you're right.
Neither here nor there. I enjoyed it. All right, let's touch on this 3-on-3 men's hockey league.
Yes. So I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but it's pretty interesting. It's kind of like what do they call it? The Big Three, or what's the one in basketball called?
Big Three
with Ice Cube.
Yeah.
So the NHL or the hockey world is coming out, and we kind of knew this was going to happen. Major League Hockey, North America's newest professional hockey league. It's launching in 2024 in the fall. And we'll touch on a couple things. Each team has 14 roster spots to fill, 12 skaters, 2 goaltenders, along with a full coaching staff and management staff. Each team will get to sign 3 marquee players, which are players with pro hockey experience. The rest of the rosters will be players from the NCAA, CHL, some other league. I don't know what that is. European junior leagues. And each team has a salary cap of $30 million. Now,
$30
million salary caps. Hold on. Each game is 24 minutes long with an intermission or a halftime. And each team gets a reward of $100,000 to split up between the players and the staff for each win. Women's players are also eligible to play in the league. And few potential rumor cities for Major League Hockey franchises is Quebec City, Hamilton, Ontario, Vancouver, British Columbia, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Kansas City, Kansas, Omaha, Nebraska, Tempe, Arizona, New York City, San Diego, California, New England somewhere in New England, and Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Those are all rumored cities possibly be involved. Kind of cool. Gives me a shot to maybe come back and try to make a run for one last-ditch effort to become a pro hockey player. What do you think?
First off, I think you could do it, Larry. Absolutely. I think
I got no legs. I'm toast. I couldn't do it then. I can't do it now.
You got a better shot sponsoring the league, but
yeah. Well, hey, that's a good idea. Actually,
I think at the end of the day, this is not going to work. I'll just be pretty blunt and honest. Not because it's not going to be a good product. Not because the people won't be skilled enough. Not because of the salary cap. It's not going to work because of logistics. How are you going to fly these people around? How are you going to travel these folks? Like, these people owning this better have some deep pockets. And then what's the return on investment financially? I love the business of sports stuff. And I've seen minor leagues. I've played in 2 football minor leagues. I've been offered jobs in several of them. You better be buttoned up. Like The Rock was the perfect guy to buy the UFL. Passion. He played pro football. He played at the U. He knows that world. He's brought big dollar people in with him and good operationally. So it's going to work. But like, you can't have a makeshift league. You got to have with that. You got to do tournament play. Like you got to pick like host city and you go play there. Like the different pro lacrosse, men's and women's. I know the area well, being in Maryland. Everybody talks about it, but they pick up and move to big towns every weekend, and they play in Maine. They play in Annapolis. They play in Philly. They play in Denver. Right. So that's how to me it would work. But to like put everybody separate and go apart, that's what the UFL does. They have a home base in Dallas, and if they play a DC versus Seattle, they'll all travel, both teams to Seattle, play the game, and then fly back that night. So I'm interested to see how they're going to do it logistically because that's expensive.
Don't be so pessimistic, man.
I'm not. I'm so positive, man.
Let's see. First of all,
where's the money?
I'm sure they're going to play. I'm sure they're going to play in a little bit of a smaller arena, a smaller ice surface, so that the game's going to be really fast and it'll be really fun.
Do that, though. How much money does that cost infrastructurally?
No, there's a way to do it where you can shorten. There's a lot of places that have the smaller rinks.
They do.
But you never know. Maybe they fire in there. Like maybe fighting is a huge part of this league. Like huge part of this league. Maybe they muck it up. You never know. I have no idea. And yes, on the surface, you would think, who the hell's going to watch this? Where's the money? I'm with you, but clearly someone thinks there's something here. And just remember that there's a lot of these cities here on this list that are potential teams that are, there's 4 potential Canadian cities. Hockey's growing big time. You can make an argument that hockey in the United States is now bigger than Canada, believe it or not, just because there's so many more people.
Oh, yeah.
And it's continuing to grow. So, I mean, you go into these small little, Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha's a big hockey town, believe it or not. They've got a junior team out there, and the game is continuing to grow.
Baltimore needs a team bad. I know the area well. There's no professional hockey in the whole state of Maryland. And that's a big state in this country with a lot of people that live in it. I happen to live in it and know a lot about it. Yeah. So Baltimore has great fans with the Orioles and the Ravens, but no hockey, no basketball.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, who knows? Keep an eye out. Major League Hockey. We'll see what happens.
I love it, Larry. Hey, thanks for bringing the freaking juice and the organization to the show today. You're the man.
Yeah. Listen, I really want to get into boxing. There's a lot to talk about, but first, this is almost going to be like a little mini commercial. I've got to mention someone. He's one of my closest friends. It's someone that I love dearly, and he's probably the biggest sports fan I've ever known. He's at least one of them, and he's a Philadelphia legend, Frank Lubisky. Frank Lubisky, first of all, has been busting my chops for a while now because he's been a diehard listener to the pod since the very, very beginning. And every episode, he's one of my good friends from Northeast Philadelphia. And every episode he goes, man, he'll shoot me a text like, fuck you, Flowers. Like, you don't even mention your good friend. Like, you don't say a word about me. Like, you talk about everybody else. You don't talk about your good friend, Frank. Well, Frank, this one's for you, bud. Frank Lubisky and his brother Cody are the sons of Big Frank Lubisky that own and operate Union Roofing in Philadelphia in the tri-state area, the Delaware Valley, biggest roofing commercial and home roofing company. They are absolutely massive. Anybody that's from the Philadelphia area, you drive around, you see Union Roofing signs all over the place. But more importantly, Frank and I have become really good friends from so many years back, and he throws the best tailgates for Eagles games and Phillies games and Sixers games and Flyers games and any event that comes through Philadelphia. They got the big RV that they wrapped with all the Super Bowl shit from when we won the Super Bowl. And Frank and I went to the Super Bowl together to watch the Eagles beat the Patriots to win our first Super Bowl. It was just him and I. We sat together in Minnesota. It was a once in a lifetime experience. And Frank is a great friend of mine, and he's been a supporter of the pod from the very, very beginning. And the only thing I'm not too happy about Frank, which is not really a style, is from what I understand as of right now, he's saying he may not be going to Brazil for week 1 of the NFL season to go watch the Birds, which is really uncharacteristic of you, Frank.
Very.
It's not like you. I mean,
Sean Handler's going.
Well, we're going to talk about that because Sean and I are going. But yeah, no. But Frank, I expect you in Brazil. It's not too late. We got plenty of time to prepare. I expect you in Brazil. If I had to put my money on whether or not you will or will not be going to Brazil. I would bet you will be going. So you and I are going to be talking offline, and we're going to try to coordinate together because I am going. But Frank, I love you, brother. Union Roofing, best roofing company in the Delaware Valley by far. And I hope you guys sponsor the pod. I've been all over you to sponsor the pod just because I love saying Union Roofing. I got my Union Roofing sweatshirt back there. I wear it all the time. They're just the best guys, true blue collar Northeast Philly guys and South Philly guys, and I love hanging out with them at the tailgates. Frank, I love you, bro.
Gritty.
But
Philly finest, gritty.
But
gritty
yeah,
business.
Sean Handler and I have been discussing Brazil, and Sean is what you would refer to as one of the more generous people that you'll ever find.
The best guy.
Listen, he works very hard, and he's made a heck of a life for himself and a heck of a career for himself, and so he has the ability to be a little bit extra generous, and so he's taken it upon himself to put together the Brazil trip, and he approached me with a scenario that I could not refuse, with the situation that I could not refuse as far as going down to Brazil. So basically, I'm gonna say it like this. This is how he approached me as an offer to whether or not I want to go to Brazil, and for me to make my decision. He said, "I took care of this, and this. All you need to figure out is how to get yourself down there."
Done.
So I'm like, Sean, sold. That's an easy sell. And so I appreciate you, Sean. You're the man, and I can't wait. It's going to be a once in a lifetime experience going down to Brazil. First game in South America in the NFL. Eagles are the home team, so they'll be well represented down there. And it'll be great for the game and to grow the game and then to grow the Philadelphia Eagles base. But yeah, Brazil's going to be great, and so I can't wait.
Sean Handler.
He's the
absolute
man.
Legend.
He's the
what
man.
What a great dude.
What
You want to touch on boxing, Larry?
Yeah. All right. So last week, we'll end the podcast with this boxing. Last week, I talked a little bit about the Lomachenko, Kambosos Jr. fight. I thought it'd be a little bit of a better fight. Kambosos Jr. is a really tough fighter. His footwork's not great, but he chucks him, and he has a lot of heart. But more importantly, first of all, TKO in the 11th, the body shots, the Lomachenko, ladies and gentlemen. For all you boxing fans out there, Lomachenko is not only still good, he is still absolutely elite. In my opinion, he's top 3 pound for pound best fighters in the world. And you can make an argument, in my opinion, that he's number 1. I mean, he's got 3 losses on his record. One to Devin Haney that honestly, I thought he won that fight. He's got a loss to Teofimo Lopez, which was just not his best outing, but I don't know if he really lost that fight either. And then, I forget for a second what his third loss is, but I mean, you can make an argument that he almost has never lost. But the lightweight division is absolutely stacked, and he's going to make a run for it again. Listen, he fought Devin Haney. He fought Devin Haney, and I thought he won that fight, but Devin Haney is naturally like a 140. Junior welterweight, and Lomachenko is really a lightweight. So, but the Matrix, Lomachenko, you should have seen the way he fought Kambosos Jr. I mean, his angles and the way he moves and his footwork and the way he breaks you down to the body. He is back on a mission, and a couple names to keep an eye on in the boxing world. Shakur Stevenson, obviously Newark, New Jersey kid, 21-0. He is superb. He's not the most exciting guy to watch, but he's as perfect a fighter as you could possibly be. I think at some point these guys cross paths, but I guess the rumor on the street right now is Lomachenko, Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis has a fight coming up. If he wins that fight, which I'm assuming he will, eventually, if Lomachenko and Gervonta Davis end up meeting in the square, in the boxing square, that will be as big a pay-per-view event as it possibly gets in the boxing world, because Gervonta Davis is also a killer Baltimore kid, and I just love to see it. I'm a huge boxing fan. I think there's so much nonsense that's been going on in the boxing world right now, but I'm a diehard Lomachenko guy, and again, for any of you who hasn't watched that fight, I would watch it just to get an idea of what kind of a fighter he is on ESPN Plus. But keep an eye on these two fighters. And to close out the boxing conversation, I want to quickly talk about Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, which is this Saturday night, the heavyweights, the big boys in Saudi Arabia. This is a mega, mega, mega fight. I wish they would do it in the States. Now, they're still doing it at a time in Saudi Arabia, where it'll be prime time Saturday night in the States. But still, it'd be nice to be able to go to that fight. But that's as big a fight as it possibly gets. I am not a huge Tyson Fury fan. I think he's a great fighter. I think he moves really well for his size. But the thing about the heavyweights is, like, Alexander Usyk was technically a cruiserweight, which is like just over 200 or something like that, 205. But he's fighting at 225, and Tyson Fury is fighting at like 265. He's 6'9", 265. And so in the heavyweight division, there's no limits on weight. So, like, you're talking about 40-pound differences on all the guys that he's fighting, Tyson Fury, which it's so unfair. And I get it. Like, how many more divisions can you have? But, like, I'm not as big on Tyson Fury as far as calling him the greatest of all time and all this stuff that a lot of people do, including himself. I disagree with that. I don't think he can take a punch the way that, some of the old school heavyweights could. Listen, he's a great fighter. He's got big hands. I've met him before in Las Vegas. He's an enormous tower of a man, and he's a great fighter. But Alexander Usyk is not only an absolute killer and powerful, but he's fast. He's smart. He's everything he does has a purpose in the ring. He doesn't waste energy. And this is going to be, if he can somehow win this fight, this puts him in the echelon of one of the greatest fighters maybe of all time, to be able to fight a guy who's 6'9", 265 pounds. And this also unifies the heavyweight belts, which is great for boxing. It hasn't happened in so long, meaning all 4 belts belong to one fighter. I believe Tyson Fury holds a WBC belt, where Alexander Usyk holds the other 3. And so this would unify the heavyweights division. And boxing is always better when there's a unified heavyweight champion of the world. And so this is a big, big fight. And so, and it should be entertaining. The heavyweights are always entertaining. But I will be rooting for Alexander Usyk. I love his game. He fears no one. He'll look you dead in the eyes and tell you, I'm not the guy to fuck around with. And Tyson Fury talks a lot of shit, and his whole family are loud and they're obnoxious, and they're one of those. I'm just not a huge Tyson Fury guy. I never have been. I think he's slightly overrated. I think some of the guys he's fought, including Deontay Wilder, which were great fights. I think Deontay Wilder's extremely overrated, very unorthodox style, just looks for the big bombs and haymakers. But Alexander Usyk is a real boxer. His style is legit. He's trained properly. He's powerful. He's smart. He's patient. So, ladies and gentlemen, if there is a boxing match that you're ever going to watch, it's this Saturday, live from Saudi Arabia. Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk. Don't miss it.
There it is. Anything else you want to wrap up with, Larry, before we go?
I think that's good. Listen, I've worked really hard trying to get through this little hangover on this podcast today. The eyes are red. The eyes are hurting. The back sore still. I could have laid in bed all day today. So I just figured come out of the box swinging, do the best I can, and hopefully it was entertaining. But I think that's about it for me until next week. But this was great. You got anything to close up on?
No, man. Love the show. Check him out. Fair but firm. Larry Flowers Jewelry, the best jeweler in the world.
Yeah, we'll talk some jewelry watches. I got some cool pieces. We'll talk about that next week. I got some really good stuff coming in. And yeah, we'll talk about that stuff. And
shout out to the boy, Sean Handler,
Frank Lubisky, Darren, and the boys from Vancouver. Love you all. I appreciate all the support I'm getting. The pod is continuing to grow. And Colin, I love you too, bud.
You're the man, Larry. See you, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers.